And next up, to talk about our World Languages Department, here we go, is Ms. Finkley, our World Languages Resource Teacher.
Buenas noches, bonsoir. My name is Laura Finkley. I am the resource teacher for World Languages and also one of the French teachers. So first question you may be wondering, so as you try to decide with your child what electives they will select, should my 6th grader take a world language? Short answer, yes. But here's some reasons why. Research does show that the critical age for learning a second language is under 12, so you just get them in under the wire if you start in 6th grade. Learning a second language improves memory, concentration, problem solving, critical thinking, and listening skills. And 6th graders at Tacoma, especially magnet students, are wildly successful in French and Spanish. It's really not an issue. Generally, they do very well. A few other things, MCPS does require 2 years of a world language, so you can easily get those out of the way if that is your goal. But if you're thinking about, I know your kids are in 5th grade right now, but they will soon be applying to college, and colleges do want to see more than those 2 required years. They want to see 4, 5, 6, or AP. They want to see lots of things. So if they start in 6th grade, they can get through level 3 by the time they leave Tacoma. You're ready for French or Spanish 4 when they get to high school. Also, again, long way off, but there is the seal of illiteracy on their high school diploma, which is possible if they reach a certain proficiency level. So that's something to consider. Is, again, better to start earlier. So why is Tacoma a great place to take Spanish or French? We have a group of really dedicated and experienced teachers. Your peer group is awesome. So in world language classes, the magnet students are combined with the general ed students, so it's a mix of kids in the class. But kids who take a foreign language or second language in middle school are generally very motivated, and that's what it really is the great thing about teaching French or Spanish at this school, is because you have a really motivated group of students. Also, the beauty of the 8-period schedule allows students to take 2 electives. So you can take French or Spanish, or both, but even if you just take one of those, you have a whole other elective slot to fill with something else. It could be music, it could be art, it could be other things, but you have 2 spots to fill. And if you're interested in foreign travel, we do take kids on international trips pretty much every year for a little while. This coming summer, Spanish teachers are going to Galapagos Islands with a group of students. I'm taking students to Quebec City this time next year, and a trip to Spain is being organized for the following summer. So you may know that MCPS middle school, when you take a world language in middle school, it's the same curriculum as they teach in high school, and students receive the same high school credit for that. And grades can be included with in the high school GPAs if the family chooses that. It's not automatically. For a long time, it was automatically included, but starting with this current 7th graders, it's an option. So that can be included if you want to include it, or not if you don't. Okay, so how do you decide which class to take? So you've got to first decide between French or Spanish. I'm a French teacher, so I say French, but that's your choice. I would totally recommend, though, if your child is particularly interested in one or the other, let them go with that. Try not to let your own feelings about it figure in, because motivation really is key. 6th graders can only take level 1, so if they have previous experience with the language, and I'm going to put this on a future slide, you can talk to me about what they can do about that, but generally, 6th graders take only level 1. There's the option between a full year class and 1AB, let's say, so French 1 full year, 1A full year, or French 1AB, or Spanish 1AB, or Spanish 1A full year. So basically the way that works is there's 1 year of French 1 curriculum, or Spanish 1 curriculum. If you take the Spanish 1AB or the French 1AB, you take it at the same pace as high school students take it. So you run through the whole year in a year. It's a lot. The full year courses take that 1 year of curriculum and divide it over 2 years. So in 6th grade, they would take French 1A full year. In 7th grade, they take French 1B full year. So it takes 2 years to get through level 1. They can also take a non-language elective. So even though I highly recommend a language elective, it's not necessary. And if your kid is not interested, then they can wait till 7th grade or 8th grade or even high school. So deciding between the slower paced version and the faster paced version. So if these things sound like your child, you're probably going to want to go for the fast paced class, the 1AB. Most magnet students should take 1AB. I'll just say that right now. What happens sometimes is kids or parents are a little bit nervous. They think, oh, it's going to be such a big transition. They're going to have all this homework. Let's just do the slow pace. Let's just take it easy. It's fine in principle. But what happens is they get bored because it's pretty slow. It's only half the pace of the other class. So it's pretty slow. And then by the time they kind of like realize like this is really too slow, it's kind of too late to move to the faster pace because the faster pace, of course, has been going fast from the beginning of the year and it's hard to really catch up. So my recommendation would be to start in the fast-paced class, and if it's really too much and you really think a slower pace is what we need, then it's a lot easier to drop back down. And speaking to as a parent of former magnet students, really, really recommend that. So here are characteristics of somebody who would be better suited to the slow-paced class. But again, most magnet students will find the pace too slow. So a few frequently asked questions. Yes, students can take both French and Spanish. That's fine. It's fairly rare in 6th grade for a kid to take both, but I have a current student in French 1 who's also in Spanish 1. A student can take 2 non-language electives. Like I said, you don't have to start in 6th grade. And if your child has prior experience with the language, please contact me directly and we can work out if we need to do a test to see where they fit in or what their options are. We can work that out later. And I think that is all. Yep, thanks for coming and hope to see you.
Thank you, Ms. Finkley. Thank you. So a few last wrap-up things is I want to talk about electives, elective options. As was said earlier, students have 2 periods of electives, and this is actually, I want to make a couple important distinctions because I know some of you have been invited to both Eastern and Tacoma. I believe Eastern's meeting is tomorrow night, so you're going to hear them highlight, their programs. Couple things to keep in mind about that, and it relates to electives. One is, our 8-period day that we do an odd day, even day with 90-minute classes, so kids see 4 classes each day. That 8-period day allows students to take an additional class, which is Magnet Computer Science, and still maintain 2 periods for electives. Okay, and that's allowed us to offer, I think, a fairly rich and diverse collection of arts electives, language electives, etc. At Eastern, they have a different schedule. They have a 7-period schedule, so your elective options are going to be different over there. So pay attention to that tomorrow if you're going to their meeting. That is a key distinction between the 2 programs. The other thing I'll say is Mr. Goldsmith and Ms. Lett highlighted the social studies and English program that we've really worked hard to enrich and extend and have options for kids to get further enrichment. But keep in mind that we are not trying to duplicate the Eastern Humanities program. The Eastern Humanities program has very unique features that we do not have here. Similarly, hopefully you'll hear from them that they offer high above grade level math and they try to offer enrichment and science stuff, but they are not at all trying to duplicate the program that we have here. So that's important. You can't get the best of both worlds. You got to make a choice. So just to make sure that we understand what that choice really is. And also, I'll also say that if your child has been you've been invited to Tacoma, but you've waitlisted at Eastern, and your child would prefer to go to Eastern, like they're more humanities kid, but you want to accept the invitation and then see if they get in off the wait list, that's totally fine. And those 2 things will not have any impact on each other. So the Appeal screening for Eastern and the appeal screening for Tacoma happen independent of each other. Just because you've accepted the invitation to Tacoma doesn't mean you have less chance of getting picked from the waiting pool. Okay, so just keep that in mind as well. And that's totally okay, and it happens every year. You know, there's a little bit of a shuffle that happens after appeals. All right, full year electives. So these classes, you take the class for the entire year, fills one period for the entire year, and they're basically our music classes. If you play a band instrument like clarinet or flute or trumpet, etc., we have 6th grade band. If you play a string instrument, we do have orchestra, 2 levels of orchestra, intermediate and advanced. I can tell you the guidelines from Ms. Pasquale, who is our orchestra and band teacher. If your child has started with a string instrument, you know, at a young age, and then like they take private lessons and they've been playing for more than like 2 or 3 years, that's probably not unreasonable to consider the advanced orchestra. If you sign up for that, what will happen is once I get those registrations, I will give Ms. Pasquale a list of the incoming 6th graders that have signed up for advanced orchestra, and then she will contact you in the spring or the beginning of the summer to ask, you know, maybe ask about the child's experience, maybe invite you in to do a little performance to see where the child is, to make sure that they're up to that level. I will tell you that our advanced orchestra is incredible. I mean, it is absolutely incredible music performance. And a lot of students, what happens, you know, if they come in 6th grade, they might be in the intermediate orchestra, and then by 7th or 8th grade, they move up into the advanced as their skills develop and stuff, and that's totally fine. We also have chorus, full year chorus. Kids coming in 6th grade take like the kind of level 1 chorus, and then if they want to continue with that, there's a more advanced course that they can sign up for in 7th and 8th grade. And then we also have semester electives. So semester electives are one half of the year. You take one course from, you know, September through January, 1st and 2nd quarter, and then you switch and take a different course for 3rd and 4th quarter. And these folks mostly around art and technology. We have obviously, you know, graphic art. Family and consumer sciences is what they used to call when I was a kid home ec, right? So it's cooking and sewing, that type of stuff. Very fun class, kids really enjoy that. We also have a general music elective, which it can be taken by students who are musicians already, or students who have never played an instrument. They can learn about basic music. They have these little setups. There's a lot of technology in that class too, which is kind of fun. They have these little like band hubs that they wear headphones, and they plug in a keyboard, a guitar, a bass, a drum kit, and they're like a little band, and they can sit there jamming out, and they can only hear each other, and there'll be like 5 or 6 of these little groups going on at the same time in the room. It's pretty neat. So that's a lot of fun. The kids really enjoy that class. We also have a TV studio upstairs that works on little like public service announcements, little documentaries that they show on our Wake Up Tacoma morning show. And if you go to our website, it's tpmsweb.com. That'll redirect to our website. You'll see the daily morning show there. You can see kind of like what goes on and how that runs each day for our daily Wake Up Tacoma show. We also have a theater elective where the students learn about dramatic arts. They just did a scenes night last week where they performed their scenes. The first semester students perform scenes for audience. We also have an engineering elective that we call Imagineering Tech, and that's like an engineering and design elective where students build structures and bridges and learn about the engineering design process. And then 2 electives we're trying to get off the ground to see if there's interest. We're going to try to offer a horticulture elective as a semester elective next year. We do have a greenhouse. You may not have seen it in the dark of coming in tonight, but there is a greenhouse outside. We do have a horticulture club that meets after school that plants vegetables and around the greenhouse outside and things like that. And so we're trying to see if we can get some interest in a horticulture elective. We had that many years ago. We did have a horticulture elective, but we haven't had it in a while. We're trying to see if we can get that going again. And then we're also trying to offer a coding and robotics course, which will be students learning about software development, in particular how to develop for games, and how to program robotic kits, things like that. So that's, again, a new course that we're trying to see get off the ground to expand our STEM-oriented electives.